Okay, so since you have already watched the vocabulary video, I'm going to go ahead and dive into chapter 10.1, which starts on page 445. So looking at the explore and grow, it's giving you 4 shapes. And this is where it's asking you to connect with your vocabulary. Now, your vocabulary gave you words, so we already talked about halves, thirds, and fourths back on our first page with our graphic organizer. And then it also gives you sixths. So what it's asking is with your rectangle on the first one where it says halves, how many equal parts am I splitting my whole rectangle into? 2 equal parts. Okay, so that's what you're going to do is for each square, you're going to split it into the correct number of equal parts, and then you're going to tell me how many equal parts that you have. Now, I will let you know that there is more than one way to equally divide a shape to create fractions. So for the halves, you might have a vertical line, you might have a horizontal line. Either is acceptable. There's more than one way to split your shapes. Okay, so now let's move on to page 446. I'm looking at the top at the Think and Grow equal parts of a whole. If you remember, during the vocabulary video, I explained what a whole was, but I'm going to explain it again, just to make sure that we get it. So I've got this rectangle, and there is a much better rectangle in your book. But so I have a rectangle, and the rectangle represents a whole, okay? This is the whole. Okay. A whole is all of the parts of one shape or one group, okay? So the whole, that's one shape, one group, okay? Now, if you look at the next example and it has that, the line down the middle, 2 equal parts of the whole or halves. You can erase this line and you'll see the next where you will have 3 equal parts of the whole, 3 equal parts of the whole, and then, or thirds. Same with fourths, moving on with 6 and 8. Those are the ones that we're going to focus on through at least 10.1, and then I'm going to be posting some other information and some other activities that you can be doing that will also talk about fifths, just splitting a whole into 5 equal parts, tenths into 10 equal parts, 12ths, 12 equal parts, and so on and so forth. So looking at the example, it says, tell whether the shape shows equal parts or unequal parts. Well, up until now, you might be thinking, I thought fractions were only equal parts. I'm really confused. So we're going to do both of these together. Okay, so the first one, the very first example it gives you is a hexagon. Okay, so let me draw the hexagon the best that I can. Remember, a hexagon has 6 sides. Okay, and it's split like that. Now, mine isn't the best, most equally drawn, but the one in your book is. So this hexagon would be split into equal parts, and since it's only split twice into 2 equal parts, we're also going to write the word halves. Okay, so it's split into equal parts and then it's also split into halves. Okay, let's look at the next one because that's where things get a little tricky. So the next picture gives you a circle. It's pretty good. The next picture gives us a circle and it is split. We've got our half down the middle and then it's split like this. So first and foremost, looking at our circle, is it equal? Is it equal or unequal? Are all of the parts in this shape the same or different? Well, the halves are probably the same, but then we've got these two down here where it's split again. It's not equal, okay? So we're going to say this shape has unequal parts. That's the first part of the question. And we need to know what it is. So, as our hexagon was halves, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts of our circle. So they're unequal parts and it's split into fourths. Okay. Now, when it's unequal and you're completing this online, please note you do not need to write that it's split into fourths because it's technically not, because it's not equally split into fourths. I do want you, though, to start thinking, okay, I've got 4. What does that mean in fraction terms? Okay, so if you have 4 parts and they're equal, they're fourths. When you are online, though, you don't need to write fourths if the shape is unequal. So moving forward, it gives you quite a few of those. Okay, and when you move to 247 and you're looking at numbers 7 and 8, you have to divide it yourself. And it's going to tell you to divide it into equal parts, and then you have to give it a name. So is it halves, third, fourths, sixths, eighths? What's the name of it? And again, you have to do that for all of them, unless it's unequal. Okay, so unequal. I don't need a name because I don't have equal parts. All right, and that's pretty much all of it, is just understanding whether they're equal or unequal, and then looking at the name. So if it's split into 2, we have halves, 3 thirds, 4 fourths, 6 sixths, and then if it's split into 8 equal parts, they're called eighths. Please, please, please refer to your book when it comes to writing it in on your textbook and then uploading your information onto the Big Ideas Math link, because spelling always matters. And I think that's about it. We will move into different activities for 10.2.